It's 10 p.m. in Banjul. This is the news. First, the headlines. 2 new books authored by prominent Gambian writers set to enter Gambian bookshelves after the official launching by the Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure. Job done and ready for the real work. More than 200 students of the St. Stephen's Institute of Technology received various certificates after completing a period of studies at the institute. France remembers the victims of the deadly Charlie Hebdo massacre, a carnage that has changed modern-day France. And a big ego and a chance at Hollywood. Mexico's drug linchpin, Joaquin El Capo Guzman, rode from a famous fugitive to a maximum high-security prison. These and other stories coming ahead in this half hour. I am MOMODOU Jan. The Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Honorable Serif Bojang, has on Saturday launched 2 books entitled Baba Silla, Reclaiming the Mantle, jointly authored by Professor Per Gomez and Malang Fane, and Petroids, Profiles of Eminent Gambians by Hassum Sise. The ceremony attracted many people, including government officials, literary critics, scholars, and students. Buba SM Sise reports.
Colorful ceremony that attracted both young and old, among them literary critics, scholars, writers, and inspiring authors to be, who traveled from afar to attend the launching of 2 books titled Baba Silla, Reclaiming the Mantle, written by Professor Per Gomez and Malang Fane, and Petro's Profiles of Eminent Gambians by Hassum Sise, at Global Hands Hub in the settlement of Manduar Village, West Coast region. The reviewers of these 2 books were Sana Saidykhan, lecturer at the University of the Gambia, and MOMODOU Sabali, managing director at Daily Observer.
This book attempts to fill the biographical gap of personalities whose deeds forge Gambian history. Significantly, men and women profiled in this book belonged to and operated in different times and circumstances. Perhaps at the height of the colonial lawlessness and fierce commercial rivalry in Senegambia, under colonial subjugation or post-colonial socio-economic uncertainties. Evidently, their deeds typify ardent patriotic fervor for the betterment of their societies.
Baba's reverence for our local diction is particularly inspiring as well as commendable. Let me quote him here. He says we must start to be proud of our languages. They are fully fledged languages. Above all, they share the same linguistic universals of grammar, syntax, phonology, and semantics as all other languages do. What is stopping us from using Tasu and Bajo as poetry? It was one of the light bulbs for me in this book. The presentation of our languages on the same pedestal with the others. I think it's about time we start looking at these issues seriously.
Reflective excerpts were adapted from these 2 books performed by the students of the university.
In this collection, focus above all on Silla as a literary historian, thus shedding light on how his literary works help to reclaim the mantle of Gambian history.
The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Dr. Chorno Omar Bari, posited that putting down the country's contemporary literary discourse in the limelight is indeed timely. For us to attain our collective objective as a people, our collective interest should always take precedence over our individual interests at all times, said P.S. Bari. Bari reaffirmed his ministry's resolve to create enabling environment for Gambian scholars to participate in the attainment of collective interest.
We put our country in the limelight of contemporary literary discourse is indeed timely. For us to attain our collective objectives as a people, our collective interests should always take precedence over our individual interests at all times. The writers whose works we celebrate today have demonstrated without doubt their willingness to champion our collective consciousness by spending a lot of their time and resources. And this is what has culminated in the production of the works before us.
The chief launcher, Honorable Serif Bojang, Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, described the authors of these 2 books as prolific writers, stressing that information regarding oneself culture and identity is crucial for self-actualization. Honorable Bojan said the establishment of the University of the Gambia has revolutionized intellectualism in the country, adding it's a significant milestone in the democratization of education in this country.
We are all gathered here to celebrate the works of three of our most prolific writers. There is no gainsaying that the establishment of the University of the Gambia has rekindled and revolutionized intellectualism in the Gambia. It is a significant milestone in the democratization of education in the Gambia. In fact, generations of Gambians shall always attest. These interventions signify that the Gambia is blessed with a responsible government which is fully aware that once the people have access to information, they will never accept to be fooled and exploited by any force that is inimical to their development.
Malam Fane spoke on behalf of his colleague authors, expressing thanks and appreciation to the publishing company Global Hands Publishing UK and all those who made their work see the light. Dr. MOMODOU Sallah is the chair of the Global Hands International.
I said to myself, I wish I had these books when I was growing up, because I could tell you about Magna Carta and the Plantagenets and Cromwell and all of those things, but I couldn't tell you about the figures that are contained in these books. You know, one of the things that Franz Fanon says is about almost as black people, as Africans, having almost this post-traumatic disorder that we've inherited from the process of slavery and colonialism.
The authors of these insightful books endeavor to tell the people about the historical evolution of the country and at the same time explore the dynamics of gender, culture and power relations in both the colonial and post-colonial Gambian society. Buba SMCC, GRTS.
St. Stephen's Institute of Technology has graduated another batch of students who underwent skills acquisition training at the institute. The many graduates are trained in information communication technology, human resources and other important areas of study. As Sujata witnessed the event and she filed in this report.
St. Stephen's Institute of Technology, an institute which offers skills training and professional development, has graduated its fifth batch of graduates. The institution has set itself the role of helping train a good number of police officers who have graduated from the school. This development has been a welcome by the Police High Command represented at the graduation ceremony by Mustafa Andong.
It is his belief that the ceremony will provide joy and happiness to the graduates, for it marks the end of an arduous journey that they embarked on. That is the journey to the successful completion of their respective courses. To that effect, we congratulate all of you, the graduates, for the achievement. We also want to thank the teachers for the sacrifice and support rendered to the students, without which this achievement would not have been possible.
Ndong thanked the St. Stephen's Institute of Technology for the support they continue to render to the Gambia Police Force and assured them of their commitment to strengthen the cooperation between the two institutions.
National development is the responsibility of every good citizen. Governments are obliged to provide the strategic guidance or direction as well as play a facilitating role to achieving it. The rest is the responsibility of the general citizenry. Your successful completion of the respective courses you have partaken in indeed need to be celebrated, but you should also come to the realization that it marks the beginning of another daunting challenge for you all. Your respective institutions will want to see the impact of your learning on the organization that you work for. You need to be able to transform your learning and apply the theories learned.
The chairman board of directors of St. Stephen's said the idea behind the initiative is to help the needy to acquire basic IT and various skills development training.
St. Stephen is here to help the poor and needy from diverse backgrounds in order to make life easier and better. We stand for quality and we will never compromise for it. Our team is very committed, hardworking, and ready to serve the needy. It has cost the institution almost $3.2 million to train all these people. I salute our leader and the president, Sir Professor Alhaji Yaya Ejeja Jammeh Babil Mansa, for the peace we all enjoy in the Gambia today.
Sehu Fofana is the principal of St. Stephen's Institute of Technology. He also emphasized the need of skill acquisition, which he added is the bedrock of his institution.
The program is completely free. And normally, when the programs are very free or cheap, the value added to them are very low. Today, we will all agree that such program is very, very expensive, because it has cost us almost $3.2 million to train almost 400 personnel for 6-month period or 1 year. This very important and timely gesture is a well calculated by the management of St. Stephen's Institute of Technology, hence serving the cause for humanity and championing the cause for human development and growth.
St. Stephen's Institute of Technology, established in 1995, and since its inception, the Learning Center has been providing quality training for students. Reporting for Grts News, I am Aissatou Jatta.
The Gambia is on the move to diversify its tourism potentials through what officials say will require an aggressive method to fend off competition, targeting new markets including the Nordics and the lucrative Russian markets, which will be central to this innovative strategy. Bakary reports.
Russia, one of the world's newest frontiers and thriving economies, is churning out record numbers of wealthy middle-class citizens. The twin effects are visibly clear. More Russians with money and increasing spending power, and a curious and willing population eager to explore the world as holiday makers. This vast market is the newest frontier for destination exploration, and the Gambia is leading the charge to lure Russia's holiday-starved population to the smiling coast. A Gambian delegation led by the Minister of Tourism and Culture was in Moscow to attend a 2-day Moscow Tourism Roadshow late last year. Among the members of the delegation was the Director of Marketing at the Gambia Tourism Board.
If you look at the Russian market, they are the third largest outbound travel market in Europe, after Germany and the UK. So it was a tactical move for us to go to Russia, and they have a very high spending power. And I think penetrating Russia for us have given us a different approach. And one of the things that we actually saw was they are looking for exotic destinations, which Gambia has abundant. And this is the time that we think is right to penetrate. And to go further to that, we have made the conclusion, and of course, with the support of the executive, that we are going to appoint a PR and marketing firm in Russia to promote Destination Gambia in 2016.
This high-level convergence attracted players in the hospitality industry, both from Russia and parts of the world. The minister and delegation held talks with stakeholders, among them marketing experts and travel and tourism journalists.
Well, to be honest, Gambia is not particularly well known for the Russian travelers, but that's why there was such a huge interest towards the country, and we had very good attendance of the event, and people asked a lot of questions, and all the Russian women were immediately in love with the delegation. And yes, we hope this is the first step of Gambia to this market, but I'm sure that in the nearest future you're going to see more Russians traveling along the Gambia river banks.
Blessed with an array of unbeatable tourism products, much of it natural endowments, the Gambia is on the move to improve and diversify its tourism potentials, backed by a strategic safety in focus. Adam Njai again.
Competition is stiff, and Gambia cannot sit back Because if you sit back, other countries are really pushing. I can give you an example. Senegal, over the years, we are not even attending the World Travel Market in England. This time around, they're next to us to tell you that they're ready to penetrate other markets. And that is what we're doing.
What are you doing to fend off some of those stiff competition?
Well, the stiff competition is we have to be continually aggressive in our marketing. We are not going to sit back. We have to, every year we have to push something. Where we stop, we push it. Because that's the only way. Other countries are pushing, we're going to continue to push, because we are not going to sit back. If we sit back, other countries will take over. And that's not us. We have been aggressive and we continue to be aggressive. And I can tell you, by the time we settle down in Russia and the Nordics, it's going to be a different ball game for this country.
And Russia's lucrative market is now open for exploration, while destination Gambia equally prepares for the arrival of its newest holiday makers from one of the world's most powerful economies.
The timing is right. The timing is right for a number of reasons. One, it is right because, as we all know, supposedly Russia is on a down now, but we do not doubt the potential of this great nation. And I think the economy is going to turn around. There is no doubt about that. And I think this is the right time to come and promote. And I think those sentiments have also been echoed by the people who were present during the session that we have here in St. Petersburg.
With the Gambia seemingly exploring new markets, coupled with the demands to remain highly strong and innovative in a very competitive market, events elsewhere, particularly the instability in the Middle East, has earned the Gambia the Ace card in luring holiday makers looking out to spend the winter break in a more relaxed and peaceful environment. This unique selling point, Adamanjai explains, has now armed the Gambia with the right tools to cast in on this window of opportunity. For Grts News, this is Bakary.
Right. We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia after the short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. France is remembering the victims of last January's Charlie Hebdo attacks, which left 17 people dead, including some prominent cartoonists. France President François Hollande laid a wreath at a memorial and also observed a minute silence in honor of the dead. We have details in this report.
President François Hollande and Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo at Place de la République, paying their respects to victims of what was then the worst terror attack their city had seen. Since then, the square has become a place where Parisians get together and remember. As the national anthem plays, it's a chance to recall what the country has been through. A year ago, world leaders made their way to Paris, marching through the streets of the French capital with President Hollande in a show of solidarity. On January the 7th, 2 masked gunmen stormed the offices of satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, killing 12 people. 2 days later, in a different part of Paris, another gunman took hostages in a kosher supermarket. When police stormed the building hours later, they found 4 hostages dead. Since then, France has had to pay its respects over and over again, most awfully in the November attacks, which claimed 130 lives.
I'm not a part of the generation that has experienced war, but now I am a part of a generation that has experienced terrorism, and I think we'll have to live with this for quite some time.
France today is a nation on edge, with little sign that this ordeal is over.
Reports of alleged sexual assaults on women on New Year's Eve. German authorities have deployed hundreds of police in the city to deal with violent demonstrators from rival groups. Many have criticized the police for its handling of the incidents. We have details in this report.
Far-right demonstrators performing the Nazi salute as police tried to maintain order.
When protesters began throwing bottles and firecrackers, the officers clamped down. Protesters and counter-protesters were told to go home. The anti-Islam Pegida movement has blamed recent migrants for the New Year's Eve attacks on women, and Germany's government for letting them in. On the other side, left-wing groups standing up for the refugees. At the center of this debate, the safety of women on Germany's streets. This crowd came with the message, sexism is sexism, no matter who the perpetrator. By now, the Cologne police have received some 380 reports of violence and sexual abuse on New Year's Eve. Latest media reports say the assailants, apparently young men of North African origin, organized the attacks on social media. Germany's justice minister has spoken of organized crime. If a mob like this comes together to commit crimes, it gives the appearance of being planned in some way. There's a strong suspicion that a specific date was chosen when crowds were expected. This would be another dimension entirely. So far, investigators have been careful not to mention the attacker's ethnicity. We don't want to feed the anger of the far right by talking about where the perpetrators are from. On the other hand, we do want to keep the public informed. It's a dilemma. Police are always faced with a balancing act when it comes to public outreach. The Cologne police face sharp criticism for failing to prevent or stop the attacks. Now they're keen not to be caught unprepared.
His capture was like an action movie. That was how some described Joaquin El Capo Guzman's arrest by Mexican Marines. It was indeed the stuff of the movies, as El Capo's arrest came after his botched attempt to screen his escape from prison led Marines to his hideout. For more on that rather fascinating story, we turn to this DWTV report.
Authorities say it was a secretive interview with Hollywood actor Sean Penn that helped lead investigators to El Chapo. The two men are said to have met in a jungle hideout late last year. Police tracked Penn's movements, enabling them to pinpoint Guzman's whereabouts. Evidently, this man wanted to memorialize himself in history and bring his life to the screen. The project was to make a movie. I don't know if it was ever done, people were contacted, or if it was paid for. This was how El Chapo made his escape. 6 months ago, the world's most notorious drug lord broke out of Altiplano maximum security prison through this tunnel. In the interview published Saturday, Guzman told Penn he had sent 3 engineers to Germany for training to help build the nearly 2-kilometer tunnel, which he traversed using a motorcycle. It was his second prison escape. After his first breakout in 2001, he eluded authorities for 13 years. But this time, Joaquin Guzman's freedom was short-lived. On Friday, Mexican Marines apprehended him after a shootout. 5 gunmen were killed, and 1 Marine was wounded. The operation was a big boost for Mexico's anti-drug efforts.
We take our second break now. Sports is next. The second edition of Referees Association dinner was staged last night. The ceremony was meant to present awards to 15 referees who are selected to officiate FIFA international games. Our MS Jallo reports.
It was only a few days earlier that one of their most celebrated colleagues was awarded Africa's finest referee. And now the Gambia Referees Association is looking inwards to reward the efforts of its up-and-coming batch of referees who have excelled in the past year. The second edition of the Referees Association annual dinner was attended by sportsmen and women, former referees and stakeholders in the game. The event also witnessed the presentation of badges to 15 referees who are now certified to officiate FIFA sanctioned games. It is another major development for Gambian football on and off the pitch.
A few words to the referees. We don't want to stop at Papa alone. We want you all, particularly the junior ones, the younger ones, to strive and continue to work hard so that when that short list is made in years to come, it will be 3 or 5 referees from the Gambia fighting it out to be Africa's best referee. I challenge you for that, and I thank you very much.
The message delivered here, particularly from veterans of the game, is for the younger ones to continue building on the tremendous achievement.
You have grown from strength to strength. We are proud of you. But please, don't rest on your oars. Work harder. And as I always say, this man has reached where he has reached. Yes, we have supported him. If you are not honest, forget it. Keep it up. I commend you.
The FIFA badges were awarded to the 15 selected referees, including 3 female members of the Referees Association. This development comes days after the CAF Awards in Abuja, where Gambia's top referee retained his crown as the best referee in Africa. These top football officials say can serve as a springboard for the up-and-coming Gambian referees.
It's our collective challenge to work hand in hand to produce Papa and more Papas. I think we can do it. We can do it. So I want to assure you once again that your welfare is our responsibility, and we will not run away from it. We are aware of the concerns, we are aware of the needs, but as I want to quote, Rome was not built in a day or one day. Somebody said so.
When he took to the mic to address the gathering, Africa's Finest had some few tips for his fellow practitioners. Papa stressed the importance of fitness in the life of a referee.
It's only about fitness, reading laws of the game, and try to perform well. Whatever I have in refereeing, if it is 100, 80% of it is my fitness. Yeah, that's true. Because 52 referees were sub-selected to go to the World Cup. I was the fittest. And they don't have a doubt. FIFA said it. If you are fit, they trust you. FIFA said it every time. If you are fit, they trust you. All of these people can be referees, you know. They know the laws more than us, but they can run. Refereeing is all about fitness, positioning, and understanding. Everybody can be a referee if you understand the laws. But you have to be fit. Fitness of refereeing is paramount. Please, my colleagues, let's try and respect ourselves and be professional.
This was a night for Gambia's referees, who are aiming to make it to the highest level. As they journey to the promised land, they will come to learn that a lot more will be required of them, professionally and in most part, their attitude to build a better career in the game. MOMODOU, Grts Sports.
And now to German football, where basement clubs are hoping to use the winter break to prepare for the next round of football action. One of those teams is Werder Bremen. The Bundesliga giants have had a difficult time in the past and are aiming to avoid another relegation dogfight. We have details in this report.
Warm weather escape from Germany's winter, but not everyone in Belek is strolling on the beach. Relegation-threatened Werder Bremen, 16th in the table, has been spending long hours in the heat gearing up for the second half of the season. But securing a spot in the Bundesliga will take more than sweat for the green and whites.
We just hope everyone shows their strengths, their character, and of course ambition. I'm convinced the players themselves are not happy with their position in the table, and I'm sure we have the quality to change the situation.
Bremen will resume the season in 2 weeks without any major roster additions, unlike Stuttgart, who recently signed Kevin Grosskreutz. He's yet to play this season after a botched transfer. With fresh legs, the former Dortmund standout is looking forward to the challenge of keeping Stuttgart out of the bottom three.
You've got to grab the ball by the horns, let your emotions out so you can give everything and run and fight. That's part of a relegation battle and playing football. We will give our all.
And for the first time in a while, Hamburg is clear of relegation heading into the second half of the season. Under coach Bruno Labbadia, the 10th place side is gearing up for its return against Bayern Munich.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. 2 new books authored by prominent Gambian writers are set to enter Gambian bookshelves after the official launching by the Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure. Job done and ready for the real work, more than 200 students of the St. Stephen's Institute of Technology have received various certificates after completing a period of studies at the institute. France is remembering the victims of the deadly Charlie Hebdo massacre, a carnage that has changed modern-day France. And a big ego and a chance at Hollywood, Mexico's drug linchpin Joaquin El Capo Guzman's road from a famous fugitive to life in a maximum security prison. That was all in this edition of the News at 10. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with GRTS and enjoy the rest of our interesting programs. Bye-bye.